Stalingrad Advance to the Volga 1942. This is part of their solitaire system. It's an area movement game, as you can see here. And it's not a deep war game. But being an East Front fan as I am, I thought I would check it out. The rules are pretty simple. They're only, let's see here. Yeah, it's 16, I think 16 pages. A lot of that's going to be your glossary, historical notes and things like that. So it's color, which is nice. They really stepped it up here, and it kind of reminds me of some of those other area games, Turning Point, Stalingrad, things like that. But I do like the look of the counters, and I do like the fact that it's solitaire, so I'll have to definitely give this a shot and see how it plays. But, yeah, there's your rule book. It's pretty nicely written, well designed up front. The counters look good, especially those air counters. And let's take a look at what else comes in here. Player aid card. And I thought this was interesting being a solo game, so as soon as they announced it, I went ahead and pre-ordered it. And here's some of the counter artwork. And then we'll get to the map. The map board is mounted. It's a fairly small map because you're covering a small section here. And let's get that whole thing out. You could fit the whole thing right next to another war game if you want. There you go. My case here, it's jammed in next to case blue. And there you go. You can see area movement. There's a grid superimposed on there. But here's all your areas here. See different victory points. And turn record stuff is on the actual map right there, which is nice. And you'll get support units you can put up here. And that's really about it. And of course you get some dice. So not too much to it. It's a fairly light war game. But I do want to give it a try, seeing as how it's geared toward one of my favorite subjects, and solitaire. So let's take a look here. The map's divided into 50 numbered locations that hereafter are called areas. Two areas are adjacent to each other if they share a common boundary. And then you can see each one's got a name and a number. There's a morale track. And I'll show you the German unit type's divisional color in the background, setup location, which is nice. There. And area type terrain. So if you bombard an area heavily, you can have rubble and things like that. And then your artillery, of course, air, which you already looked at, Pavlov's house. So I think this is pretty neat. There's a random event phase, which is pretty cool. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. Combat phase has bloody streets. At the start of the combat phase, the player rolls 1d6 for each contested light urban and heavy urban, and consults charts below. No effect, reduce morale, flip the units to their spent side. So it does sell, kind of try to simulate urban combat pretty well. And then I haven't read too much further in after that on how the attacks work. German units must make a mandatory attack whenever they enter the Soviet-occupied area. Things like that. Just thought I'd flip through the rule book here for you guys. And let's see. Here's I call this the factory district scenario. Examples of play over here in color. Thank God. And it tells you the different types of terrain and how all that's set up. Use the following Soviet units when setting up the factory district scenario. They have a random events chart for that one. And then some history stuff in the back. So that's about it. It's pretty light, so there's not much to show off here. But that is Stalingrad Advance to the Volga 1942. This is from Revolution Games, and it just came out. And here's the back. Take Aim Designs, published by Revolution Games. And there you go. Just in the mail. All right, thanks for watching.